This meeting of the Beverly Hills Board of Education will come to order. May I ask those of you who are standing, there are seats,
There's at least 20
quite a
seats.
few seats here. Would you kindly come and sit down? I think that there could be, standing and
20
blocking the aisles is not a
25
safe,
seats I just
not a
counted.
safe thing to be doing.
It's like 25
And
seats.
we'd like you to be comfortable. Won't you please come sit down?
There's a fire hazard. No, we're not going to start till
Why,
you take a
why
seat.
won't they sit down?
Just say, look, I don't want to start the meeting until you sit down. That's all. Just no, say it.
The meeting will start when everybody sits down, please.
It is a fire hazard. What about all those people?
I don't know.
Yeah, but this, they're blocked. No, ask them to come sit. There's seats. There's 3 here. and 2
Won't you, those of you who are standing, won't you please come sit down? So that. Do you all have back injuries?
There's 3 over here. There's 3 over here to the right. 1, 2, 2 more.
there's
far.
several.
Guys, our concern is egress for emergency purposes. We're not trying to posture or anything. We love just to keep the doors clear. That's all, because it's a fire issue. Okay, thank you.
Amazing.
Fine.
Distinguished teacher and Apple Award recipient David Siskin, would you kindly lead us in the flag salute?
Right hand over heart, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have an approval of the agenda?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I will make a motion to approve the agenda minus item 13I.
I'll second that. Did you tell them I second?
You don't think they're working?
I second it.
Okay, moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mrs. Hacker. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. And we are in the agenda hearing period. And I do have a number of requests to be heard. I beg your pardon?
Report out of closed session first, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry. You're right. A report out of closed session action, Superintendent.
The board has unanimously approved settlement agreements for student number 15388. I'm sorry, it's 15288 and 15258.
Thank you, Superintendent. We have a number of requests. I'll ask each of you to kindly hold your comments to 2 minutes. Would appreciate it.
And before we do that, President Spitz, I do want to mention, know that there's a large amount of people here. Much like when we were working with the teacher reductions, know that there are a number of instructional assistants that are in our audience today. And I just want to remind everybody, just before speaking, that many times these are handled in a very similar way, and with our IAs, our IAs are matched to what's happening in our IEPs. And so we are currently going through our IEPs and working with our building administration to determine the number of staffing that we need. So much like with our teacher situation, and we're looking at seniorities and credentials, and we're looking at the actual need of the building, I just want to assure everyone in the audience that that is an ongoing, everyday issue that we are looking at, and we know the importance and the value of the work that's given by our employees is important. It's emotional for all of us, but I do want you to know it's something that we're working on every day.
Thank you, Superintendent. Mr. Telly C. This is getting to be a habit.
All right, so I believe I have 4 minutes based on time seated. Thank you.
By whom?
I didn't
By-
have any
Seated
time
you 2
seated.
minutes.
Molly Peterson, it's on the form.
Oh, yes, Molly Peterson. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dear members of the Board of Education, district administrators, members of the community, good evening. I'm Telly C., high school teacher, president of the Beverly Hills Education Association. Last Monday, May 1st, on the day the California Teachers Association declared to be the statewide day of action to stand up for public education, on the day BHUSD publicly announced would be the day we would honor 23 of our colleagues impacted by layoffs. On this day, the district sent out a letter to the community outlining 4 reasons it believed to be causes of a structural deficit within the district, one of which was the teacher salary formula, something that we, the educators in the district, have already thoroughly and comprehensively proven to not be a cause of any financial problem. Days later, members of the City Council in a public meeting demanded that the district change its salary formula with its employees in order to allow the Joint Powers Agreement, the JPA, to continue. As many of us know, the JPA is an agreement that allows the city to rent district facilities at a current cost of approximately $10 million a year. This agreement, which has been in place for almost 40 years, represents about 18% of the district's budget. If the agreement does not continue, the district will truly be in a financial hardship, and the city will have to look elsewhere for facilities to use for its countless programs and activities. In short, everybody in this community, our residents, our employees, our educators, and our children will suffer. And for what? The salary formula is not the problem. The problem is how the district chooses to spend its money. In addition, the timing of such statements is extremely problematic. Negotiations between the district and BHUSD are ongoing. At no time had the JPA been brought up as a factor. For it to come out now makes it look like the city is interfering with our bargaining process. Because of this, the Board of Education and district administrators must now take a stand and respond. Let the City Council know that they cannot interfere with your negotiations process with your educators. Remind the City Council that you stand with your educators, and changing the formula does not solve any problem because it is not the cause of any problem. To force a change would be to tell your educators that they're not worth a 2.5% raise when a teacher with a family of 4 continues to pay over $1,000 a month out of pocket for the lowest insurance plan. Remind the City Council that the JPA is not an act of charity from the city. It is a rental agreement that benefits all involved. Later in this meeting, you will be voting on a resolution for Teacher Appreciation Week that states in part that the teaching profession collectively remains one of our noblest and most vital professions. If you believe this, as I know deep down you do, then take a stand and publicly stand up for and with your educators and make it known that the JPA will not be contingent on the elimination of something that is good for educators, good for the district, good for the community, and good for our kids. Thank you.
Carol Cornea? Cornea.
Cornier. Cornier. Yeah, I know, it's Cornier.
Yeah, Cornea.
It's Cordier.
Cornier.
Okay, so
stand
dear members of the
corrected.
board, thank you. Dear members of the board, Dr. Breggy, Ms. Langham, and Dr. Tedford, my name is Carol Cornier, and I'm the president of the Instructional Assistant Unit with BHEA, and I'm here to address the recent resolution for the layoffs. I'm here asking you to reconsider this decision. I believe that if you wait until the start of school, you will most likely find that the IAs, and that there will be a need for IAs. There's usually a lack of IAs, and in most of these programs, especially the more challenging programs that we serve, the students need the support. So please really take that into consideration. What if the enrollment changes and more students enter the program? My unit members that are being laid off are going to be looking for jobs as soon as possible, and August will be too late to bring them back. And we already know what the process is with the hiring, and it takes months. So as a 20-year employee, I've seen a lot of changes in special ed, and I've seen it grow. Our programs keep expanding, so I'm just urging you to please reconsider this decision, as the students' needs are their priority, and I think they should be your priority as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Benahum? Benahum?
So, good evening, members of the board. I have 4 minutes, if that's possible. Time
Yes,
from
you have
Mr.
somebody
Lisco.
here, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, good evening. I come here tonight not only as a 20-year veteran middle school English teacher, but also as a parent of a 4th grade child with special needs who attends the moderate to severe prime program at Horace Mann. I'm a proud teacher of this district, and I'm also a proud parent in this district. I should also mention that I'm also a proud resident of Beverly Hills. I'm sorry to come here tonight in a contentious manner, but after reading in my faculty email about the district's necessity to cut IAs, I had to voice my opinion as a teacher who has seen the benefits of my own co-taught classroom and a parent of an elementary school son with autism and recently diagnosed as of this year focal epilepsy. After a grand mal seizure that woke my whole family up in the middle of the night this past February. He's had 3 subsequent seizures this year as well. Fortunately, all at home and all in his sleep. Let me begin by saying that my wife and I have visited private sector options for our son, and we're proud and confident that Horace Mann is the most nurturing and educationally beneficial setting for him, thanks to the phenomenal teachers, administrators, and support staff. He gets to go to school with his brother and has the wonderful opportunities of being part of the active and supportive general education population. We're proud that he's able to attend Horace Mann, but there are reasons for our pride, and I want to share them with you now. First of all, the training of the prime program IAs is more specific and intensive than those at our other school sites, like the high school. To lay off these highly specialized workers leaves a gaping hole in our classroom infrastructure for an already vulnerable population. I urge you to spend some time in the classroom of the prime program before making any further decisions about IA layoffs. I urge you to take a look at the simple daily process when a child's pencil needs to be sharpened, while another child's anxiety needs to be tempered, while a 3rd child must use the restroom and has difficulty rising from his seat, while a 4th child is simply raising his or her hand with a question, all while the prime teacher is leading a lesson. You will begin to understand that these seemingly superfluous individuals are not examples of waste in our district, but are truly integral to the education of the elementary prime program special needs classroom. Please keep in mind that when a family appeals for non-public support for a hired assistant, this costs the district far more than funding local staff, whose salaries are comparably lower. Cutting IA staff might seem cost-worthy at the outset, but one shouldn't ignore the very real fact that the district would have to pay higher price to comply with the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. I don't envy your responsibility to maintain economic solvency for this beloved school district. And I honor your time and effort for the sake of a better community. But this particular excision of staff will not only be too painful, I think it will also lead to greater monetary loss in the long run. We must now make this decision. Are we a community that values its special needs children such that we become the beacon of educational competence, the leader for every kind of learner who resides in our community, or are we going to rely on other institutions outside to properly care for the education of these few? I believe that such a choice will come with a cost too great, a cost that I feel is both monetary, but perhaps more importantly, moral.
Mina Zorgar.
The name of three of us are there.
We're three.
Yes.
Good. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Chacon, and I'm an instructional aide at Horace Mann. First off, I would like to thank the board members, faculty members, teachers, students, families, and parents for joining us today. We greatly appreciate your support. We are here to speak on behalf of the instructional aide team at Horace Mann. We love our jobs. Working as an instructional aide is not about the money, but it is about the wonderful experiences that we have made with our students. Every day we work tirelessly to provide the best care and education for our students. Our job is about helping our students who rely heavily on our best interests for them to succeed. We are here to express some of our concerns and frustrations that ultimately impact our students' growth. It is important that our students are in a safe environment where they can succeed, and flourish in their daily lives.
For example, I was responsible for 3 students, all of which should require one-on-one support. While watching them on the playground, I noticed that one of them put something in his mouth. I ran to him. He had found a screw and put it in his mouth. When I looked up after helping this student getting the screw out of his mouth, the other 2 students went out of sight. The second student had ended up running into the office, and I find him distracting the secretary from her work. Meanwhile, the third student was outside playing with no supervision. Unfortunately, to the unique needs of our population, this type of scenario is quite common, and it shows how important it is to have enough staff working with our children.
It appears to be that the district is simply looking at the numbers on paper and not looking at the individual needs of our students. We're curious to know how many sitting on this panel today have visited special education class and spent enough time to truly understand how to help our students. When one of our teachers is out sick or in an IEP meeting, which happens frequently, who is taking care of the class? Despite having a substitute teacher, IAs typically are looked upon to run the class because we know the individual needs of our students. We have to do multiple shifts to keep the program running and keep the students safe. If we are not able to provide the support necessary for the students, what is to stop the parents from advocating for further support from an outside agency, which ends up costing the district much more? This is Beverly Hills. Our parents pay a lot of money and taxes to live in the city for a reason. They have demands that we have to provide for a quality education. Although it is exciting to have new technologies such as iPads, laptops, smart TVs, and smart boards, if you don't have the support of the IAs to assist, then how do you expect a group of 12 special needs students in one class to fully participate and develop? While we are speaking on behalf of those IAs who have been laid off, we are equally concerned about the working conditions of the IAs who will be returning next year, and most importantly, the students, who will not have the proper staffing to adequately receive the necessary support for their education. We ask for your compassion and support during these times. We hope you can make the best decisions for our students and our community. Thank you.
Gita Moalemi.
Good evening. Thank you for time. I don't have any written paper, but honestly, I love my work. I want to tell you, I'm working at Horseman. I love my community. I love my children. As you know, we don't earn that much money, and we are not here for money. We love our children, and I ask you to, regarding this job, and reconsidering your decision, because it's not very easily to change the age for the kids. We are facing with a student that on nonverbal, they are young, they are old, and we trained for them to work with them for a long time, and changing the IAs, it's not good not for teacher, not for the student. And I want you, please come and visit our school. We have lots of special children in our school, and we are working so hard. We always are lack of staff. There is lots of children needs us, and we are here only for children. Please come and visit our class and see how hard we are working. Sometimes even we don't get our break because there is lack of staff, and we don't have time. We don't have anybody to take care of them, so we cannot go take our break. And I really ask you, please, please come and visit us in the classroom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Evelyn Munoz? We spoke. And did Nilo Khalili, did you speak also? There you are.
Hello, hi. I had good evening, everybody. I had a pleasure to working with you guys. I know you all. Many congratulations to Dr. Berge, and I hope we continue working. I am on behalf of Bianca Foundation, who I created on behalf of my daughter, Bianca, unfortunately, who got killed 4 days before her graduation in the hand of another teenager. And this was her calling. The Bianca Foundation is to empower and educate our children, to give them tools to become confident, to become successful in all areas in their life. I think this life skill class is mandatory, and it should be in every school, so it saves their life. It saves their life, really. Our kids are in so much trouble that we don't see. Sometimes they don't come, they don't talk to us. But with this program, I created a classroom. It became as a club. We started as a classroom, but it's become a club now. And that is not enough. And I'm sorry I'm in a day that everybody asking for this program, that I'm here to ask for at least one semester of what you call that like elective class, at least. And I'm not asking for money. I'm not here to do that. I just want to create this classroom next to the history, geography, math, and everything that they study. This is a must. Please consider my request. And we have a student who wanted to speak on behalf of Bianca Foundation, who's helping me a lot, if you allow. Her name is Lauren Kashani. I think she has a paper filled in. And
Yes, she
many
applied.
congratulations again, Dr. Berkeley. Hope to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Lauren Kashani?
I'll be really quick. I am the president of the Bianca Foundation, and essentially what we do is we help teenagers become more comfortable with speaking about mental health. And mental health has been a really big problem in today's society, and what we do is we reach forward to those kids who are scared to come forward and speak to adults, because we create an environment where there are other kids who feel like they're alone or they're lost, and we give them those tools to help them repair themselves and build confidence and become successful. And our club reaches many different grades. We have freshmen, we have seniors, we have all different ethnicities, and we may not be the biggest club at Beverly, but I feel that we're the most important. And I feel like this is a life skills class that is needed, even as an elective, because it helps students become more comfortable with who they are. And it addresses things that, lead to gun violence and drug use and alcohol abuse. And it's really important to have these kind of things talked about.
Thank you. Vanid Neiman?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak today. I know I don't have much time. I'm Lauren's mother, and this club is very near and dear to us. And we feel that it's very important to have this program available to teens in high school, because it does build life skills. And how amazing would it be to have such a class that can assist them not only while they're in high school, but after high school and college and in, when they get married and whatever. Our kids are taking algebra and geometry and calculus, and only a handful of students really use those type of classes. And they're just as important, I know, but they're not going to go through their life, most students, using calculus and all. But if this program becomes a class, the skills that they instill in these kids will be far more important. And some of the issues that they talk about, Lauren didn't address all of them. One is bullying, which is very pervasive right now, and a lot of people are, becoming educated and recognizing bullying in all sorts of forms, social, relational bullying. It doesn't come in forms of, stealing lunches and punching each other and things like that. It's very, there's a lot of nuances in bullying. So they're teaching them about that. They're teaching them about stress during, final exams, and they're teaching them how to overcome their fears. They're teaching them about, how to address if they're approached about drinking at a party, or, getting into someone's car, peer pressure. All those sorts of things are addressed in a very safe and neutral environment, and I strongly believe that the students are getting so much out of this program. So I do urge you to consider, and maybe you can stop by the class one day as well.
We have one more request. However, he requested that his statement be read, and I'm going to do my best. It's a very difficult read, but it's from, I think, Jason Ozer. And he says he would like to address the board concerning the laying off of teachers with special needs kids. My daughter, she needs, well, this is difficult to make out. She needs one-on-one time. It will be impossible to meet this legal requirement by laying off teachers, aides, although this has been done in an area that they need the most. There is no way their class could be held without them. They are essential. My daughter could now read. My daughter and others like her will suffer. It's not fair. There may be ways to raise money. To do the wrong thing is not right. I looked into the internet and they had 1,000 ways to raise money. So that is Jason Ozer. And now we have the pleasure of some accommodations and recommendations. I'll go and read. Okay. Our first resolution is Resolution 2016-2017-038, National PTA Leaders Appreciation Week, which is May 7 through 13. This week of Teacher Appreciation Week is set aside to honor our outstanding teacher staff. It's through their efforts that the excellence of our education program is maintained. May I ask Talik C. to come forward and receive this proclamation.
You have to vote on it. You have to vote on it.
I'd like to ask a few of my teachers to join us because this is for the teachers.
I'd like to read this resolution because it's meaningful. It's been signed by all the members of the school board and Dr. Michael Breggy. Whereas the teacher educators of the Beverly Hills Unified School District work tirelessly to serve our children and community with care and the utmost professionalism, and whereas our teachers shape and influence young lives for a lifetime through their guidance and instruction as well as by example, and whereas the future success of our children depends on the dedicated and conscientious instruction provided by teachers and other educators, and whereas the teaching profession collectively remains one of our noblest and most vital professions. And whereas the love of learning and the desire for excellence that our teachers impart to their students is the key to a bright and successful future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board of Education wishes to honor and thank teachers for their diligent and dedicated efforts to ensure all children have a quality education. Be it further resolved that the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board of Education encourages all communities to join together to honor teachers by proclaiming Teacher Appreciation Week in the Beverly Hills Unified School District this year to be from May 7th through May 13, 2017, in honor of the district's exceptional teaching staff, whose excellence, talent, and expertise have enabled this district to maintain a program of quality education, passed and adopted this 9th day of May, 2017, signed by all of us. Congratulations to you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to present this.
We got to vote on it. Okay, so that being said, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2016-2017-038.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Mr. Margot, second by Mrs. Hacker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's passed unanimously. I'm going to hold this for Mr. Margot's.
And then I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2016-2017-039. Is that
I'll second that as well.
All right. And I will call on Andre Law, who's the president of OTBS, the Classified School Employees Unit. Pardon me? The other CSEA is here too. Yes. Yeah, I have one for them too. Andre, good to see you. So, this is Resolution 2016-2017-039, and it recognizes Classified School Employee Week, which is May 21 to 27, 2017. It's my pleasure to read it. Whereas the classified staff of the Beverly Hills Unified School District contribute significantly to the outstanding educational programs available in our district, and whereas the classified school employees are crucial partners with teachers, parents, and administrators in the Beverly Hills Unified School District, and whereas the classified staff is involved in nearly every aspect of education, including maintaining school buildings and grounds, providing secretarial and clerical assistance, preparing and serving meals, assisting in the classroom, and many other specialized services. And whereas these dedicated individuals deserve recognition and thanks for the outstanding work they're doing. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board of Education does hereby proclaim Classified School Employee Week in the Beverly Hills Unified School District from May 21 through May 27, 2017, and does hereby pay tribute to the diligence, loyalty, skill, and expertise of all classified employees. Thank you.
We didn't vote yet. Mr. Spitz, we still need to vote on it. We moved and seconded.
Did we not vote?
No, we
Well, I may have to take that back. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't have to take it back. Thanks for that. The next the next resolution we have is 2016-2017-039.
No, we just did that.
Wait a minute, they're all. Oh. Okay, this one is, and may I have Carol Cornier come forward? I pronounced it right this time. And this is a resolution honoring our instructional assistants and Classified School Employee Week. May I have a motion?
It's the same motion, it's just an additional certificate, so it's already been passed, so this
Thank
one
you.
we're ahead of. Thank you.
Thank you. Where's Carol? I'm right here. Hi, Carol. Welcome, all of you. And I want to read this resolution to you. Whereas the classified staff, the Beverly Hills Unified School District contributes significantly to the outstanding educational programs available in our district. Whereas the classified school employees are crucial partners with teachers, parents, and administration in the Beverly Hills Unified School District. And whereas classified staff is involved in nearly every aspect of education, including maintaining school buildings and grounds, providing secretarial and clerical assistance, preparing and serving meals, assisting in the classroom, and many other specialized services. And whereas these dedicated individuals deserve recognition and thanks for the outstanding work they're doing, now therefore be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board of Education does hereby proclaim Classified School Employee Week in the Beverly Hills Unified School District, May 21 through May 27, 2017. Does hereby pay tribute to the diligence, loyalty, skill, and expertise of all classified employees. Congratulations. Now may I ask that Pierre Hawley, is Pierre Hawley here, President of the CSEA? Who's Pierre? I'm here. How are you? So this is in recognition of the food services, trades, and custodians classified school employees. Whereas the classified staff of Beverly Hills Unified School District contributes significantly to the outstanding educational programs available to our district, and whereas the classified school employees are crucial partners with teachers, parents, administrators in the Beverly Hills Unified School District, and whereas the classified staff is involved in nearly every aspect of education, including maintaining school buildings and grounds, providing secretarial and clerical assistance, preparing and serving meals, assisting in the classroom, and many other specialized services. And whereas these dedicated individuals deserve recognition and thanks for the outstanding work they're doing, now therefore be it resolved that the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board of Education does hereby proclaim Classified School Employee Week, Beverly Hills Unified School District, from May 21 through May 27, 2017, and does hereby pay tribute to the diligence, loyalty, skill, and expertise of all classified employees. Congratulations. And now we have a very special resolution to pass. It's Resolution 2016-2017-040. May I have a motion?
I'll make, yes.
I'll move to approve the resolution 2016-2017-040, student board member.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Schwartz, would you kindly step forward? And I get to read this to you. Don't blush. Whereas Sam Schwartz, a senior at Beverly Hills High School, served as student member of the Board of Education June 2016 through May 2017. And whereas Sam Schwartz, elected by his high school peers, was the student representative for all students in the Beverly Hills Unified School District. And whereas He fulfilled his youth leadership role in a professional manner, diligently keeping informed on all issues, and whereas Sam was a strong advocate for empowering Beverly Hills High School students, and whereas Sam was an intelligent, bright spokesperson for all students who provided knowledgeable comments and meaningful contributions into the board meetings. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board of Education does hereby commend Sam Schwartz for his contribution to the Board of Education as the student representative, with this resolution passed this 9th day of May, 2017. Thank you, Sam. Don't leave. Don't leave. I'll turn the mic over to Mrs. Korbutov.
And Ms. Korbutov, before you speak, can we have Sam's parents please stand and be recognized? Thank you for lending us your son.
To the Schwartzes, job well done. Sam, I want to thank Noah for coordinating this gift, and we've all contributed. It's a little token of our affection and our appreciation for the wonderful perspective you gave each and every time. I was so, sometimes really inspired, but also, wow, this kid's really smart. Maybe that's why he's a student board member. But your insight as a student, as a resident, you spoke from a real reservoir of knowledge, and you cared, and it was always enlightening to hear what you were thinking, but what you brought to the table on behalf of your fellow students. So I want to thank you, and this is for you from the board. Take care.
And that brings us to item 9 on our agenda, Human Resources. And we
Mr.
need
Spitz, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for employment for the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
moved by Mr. Margot. May I have a second?
I will second that.
Second by Mrs. Hacker. Superintendent?
One of my job responsibilities is to develop, articulate, and to implement an educational program that serves our entire community. Another job responsibility that I have is more of a fiscal nature, and to ensure that we are running effectively and efficiently. And to do this right, it's extremely important, it's critical that I have the right people in the right places to help lead. Part of the cabinet position is an assistant superintendent for special education, student services. And at this time, I would like Laura Chisholm to please stand. And I just wanted to introduce Laura to our Board of Education. Laura has had extensive experience on both the compliance side and also on the instructional side. We put her through a really robust interview process and spent some time in some classrooms. And it was a really enlightening conversation instructionally, and it was really moving as well. We had a lot of candidates for the position, and it comes with very high regard that, that we vote yes for Laura Chisholm to be our Assistant Superintendent for Student Services.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimously.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and good luck. Item 9B, approval of resolution 2016-2016-2117-042. have a motion? Without a motion, the item will be tabled.
You need a motion? These are not, these are positions basically without kids.
Not necessarily. I mean,
I'll make a motion for the sake of discussion.
Motion by Mrs. Gorbatov. I will second it for purposes of discussion. So the second is by Spitz.
Dr. Breggy, I don't know, do we have to, you guys have any?
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple things. It is not lost on me the irony of this day. Today, of course, is Teacher Appreciation Day. Teachers both inspire and support every child that's ever received a formal education, making them the cornerstone of this great country. I know that because I'm married to an educator. Though a week is not nearly enough to appreciate all the time these tireless, selfless, dedicated, and compassionate teachers spend enriching our society, we can at least honor them in one of the best ways we know how, working together for the common goal of resolving the challenges that face this district. Dr. Breggy, I do have a question for you. I see that there are a number, previously there was a list and a number of certificated personnel that had received layoff notices or pink slips.
Correct.
I see this evening the resolution is to terminate 7 of those individuals. So my first question, what procedures and what is your plan for the additional educators that were on that list? How is it going to work? There's many of them here today.
So what happened over time is when enrollment declines in the district, many times positions have not changed or have not been eliminated. There are positions in the district that when kids exit out of a program, there have been positions that have remained. And so that's happened year after year. And so this is an area of overstaffing that we are continuously looking at every day. As was mentioned, sometimes people move in, sometimes there's a student that graduates that has a one-on-one. So we're looking at those line by line for each of those positions to make sure that they are indeed connected to a student or group of students.
So there's currently, on this list, there's currently 7 that the district has made a determination that there will be no position for.
Correct.
What about the other 16 or 17 that were on that list?
I don't know specifically where they would be assigned. We'd have to look at that. But we've determined that there is an overstaffing in that area, and the 6, 7 people, those are not connected to an IEP. Positions. They're positions.
We're specifically talking about certificated
Certificated.
right now.
So-
I think what
So there are the people that remain on that list are ones where there is declining enrollment.
This is for certificated.
So
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think,
go ahead.
does that clear it up? Because what I was wondering, so March 7th, we had 23.7 FTEs.
Right.
So, and that's preliminary. Those
Right.
notices are preliminary.
Right.
These notices are final. These are,
Correct.
by state law, we have to deliver the final notice
Mhm.
before or on May 15th. This is 6.6, this list FTEs.
Yes, for the
Okay.
certificated, what has happened over the last couple of meetings, maybe even three meetings, when we've brought back some of the positions like the computer tech, then that changes the way the reduction in force works as far as bringing people back by seniority and also by how they're credentialed.
Right, so because we're not talking about people, we're talking about positions right now, but the 17.1 reinstated FTEs
Right.
Were comprised of those that were originally on that list.
Yes, and on that list, sometimes there was a four-way tie for a
Understood.
position, so that's why
we
it
understand
escalates
that.
up.
Yeah. So is the process now through human resources? Do they get notified then at some
Yes.
point that
Yes, they will be.
that the March 15th notice is then
Yes.
null and void for them? Is
Yes.
that the process?
Yes, it will all go through human resources.
Okay. So, but they haven't been notified yet. Nobody's been notified of anything. The process happens after May 15th, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I also understand that there are positions on that list that we only have one FTE for that particular position. We can't have two people with that credential for one position.
Right.
So that's what leads to some of the rationale. You know, we offered a SERP, which is ongoing, correct, Ms. Kirkhardt? That's still in process. We don't have final results of that. Had enough teachers taken the SERP?
No, the SERP is a golden handshake. I think the public might.
I'm
not
sorry,
know.
supplemental
Yeah,
early retirement program, correct? Yes, that is a golden handshake. I'm sorry, Lisa, I don't speak corporate lingo, but apparently I speak acronyms. This could change, obviously, depending on how the SERPs play out, correct? I mean, it's not going to change it because of the May 15th deadline, but if certain people do wind up vacating positions, then I assume we would go back and see who would be available. Is that the practice? Is that generally what we do, or?
Yes, if someone retires in the credential area that we're reducing, then we don't have to have that reduction in force, because now we have an opening in that from a higher seniority member in that same credential area.
But because of the May 15th deadline, are these particular people become automatic in refilling those positions, or then between March and May they would be, but after May, does it work the same way? That if the position opens up, do we call upon these folks first? Okay.
If the credential matches.
Right, if the credential matches,
That's
I
exactly
understand.
what HR does.
Okay.
If someone retires, or
Okay.
even, we still have till June 30th, people might take a leave of absence that we don't even know about yet. They might request one. And if the credential, the opening is in the same credential area as some of these folks, they'll be the first ones called back, yes.
Okay. Well, you know, there are some quality teachers on this list, and I don't know them all personally, but some I do, and I do hope that everything kind of readjusts itself in time, that we can retain some of these talented folks.
It changes sometimes every day.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Then I call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And that brings us to the consent calendar. Mr. Margot, do you have a motion?
Yes, I'll move to approve the consent calendar. Dr. Breggy, were you addressing anything on the consent calendar today?
I will at the end.
Okay, fine. So I'm going to move to approve the consent calendar.
A motion by Mr. Margot, second by?
Second.
By Mr. Goldstein. Dr. Breggy.
So I do have another announcement that I would like to make. And at this time, if Dr. Michelle Burnett would please stand. I'm very excited to introduce to you Dr. Burnett. Dr. Burnett will be leading Horace Mann School. She has the experience as a teacher, as a site administrator, district leader at the elementary and secondary levels in both California and Arizona. Dr. Burnett has served as an executive recruiter, assistant superintendent for education services in Capistrano Unified. She's been the director of research and evaluation and an area administrator in Santa Ana. And she has a whole host of experience, and we put her also through a very robust interview process, and I'm very excited to welcome Dr. Burnett to our school district. Welcome.
Thank you, Superintendent Brady.
Welcome.
Call for a vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried, and that brings us to reports. Superintendent.
So I want to start off by also addressing and recognizing our nurses. It's also Nurse Appreciation Day as well. So they are on our front lines, and I want to make sure that our nurses are valued and also recognized as well. I would also like to thank Mr. Schwartz for all his service for our school district. You're one of the first students that I met coming into the district, and you were a great insight for me as I was learning the ropes and learning the schools and learning about the culture and the community, as well as helping with our search process for a new principal at Beverly Hills High School. You've been an instrumental part of assisting in more ways than people have ever realized. And to take this type of information and to synthesize it and to ask questions is not easy. I don't think that there is another school district in the country that is going through the types of things that we're going through. And I hold your knowledge and your respect for others to a very high degree. And it's been such a pleasure, and I hope you stay in touch with us. Thank you, Sam.
Mr. Schwartz, do you have anything to say?
I do. A lot to say. First of all, thank you, Dr. Breggy, for those kind words. And thanks for involving me in, the principal selection process and just, wanting student input in everything. I think that's a good vision going forward. And hopefully the next student board member and those to come will work with you in a similar manner. I want to start off first with just the report of some events that will be happening. Next week there's a band concert, a orchestra concert, and a choir concert. The band concert is on the 15th on Monday at the Saban Theater at 7. The orchestra concert is the next day, Tuesday, the 16th, at the Saban Theater, 7 o'clock. And the choir concert is at All Saints Church, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. And I hope that all the students that had APs this week survived. Finals are coming up. Seniors are almost done. It's a nice feeling. But I just want to say thank you to everyone, really, for letting me have this honor and this privilege of being able to serve up here and have this opportunity. I know people think probably I'm a little crazy, if I were to say I enjoy these meetings, but I do. And even contentious ones like these, where a lot of people come to speak on controversial issues, and there's a lot going on in the district, but I think this is that's an important part of democracy, and I'm glad that I'm a part of that. It's been an amazing learning experience over this entire year, and in student government in general. This is obviously on a much larger scale at the community level instead of just the school level, which has been fascinating. But I'm sure that all the things I've learned here, I'll be able to take them into the future, and apply those, everything I've learned here. In the spirit of, well, first of all, National Teacher Appreciation Day, but also in the spirit of my friend and classmate Josh Faladian, who came here last week to address the board and thanked all his teachers. I wish to do the same. So, in no particular order, Thank you to Ms. Fuhr, Ms. Zinman, Ms. Knowles, Ms. Pierce, Ms. Friedman, Ms. Stratford, Ms. Mason, Mr. Morrison, Ms. Rogers, Ms. Hickson, Ms. Park, Mr. Foldberry, Mr. Siskin, Senorita Brown, Mr. Schmidt, Ms. Katz, Ms. Sue, Mr. Smith, Ms. Lanzetta, Mr. Z, Mr. Clements, Ms. Finley, Dr. Murkow Leopard, Ms. Marshak, Mr. Fuhr, Coach White, Ms. Call, Annie and Naomi, Mr. Hyatt, Ms. Hanady, Ms. Kim, Senora Schneider, Senora Lopez, Dr. Rubenstein, Mr. Mitchell, Ms. Stern, Ms. Brukeem, Ms. Wortman, Mr. Berkeley, Mr. Yu, Mr. Kobe, Ms. Weiss, Ms. Dickens, Ms. Smith, Ms. Rowe, Mr. Van Rossum, Mr. Marika, Ms. Pinku, Dr. Chase, Coach JJ, Ms. Peterson, Coach Riesenberg, Coach Pasinger, Ms. Silberberg, Ms. Price, Ms. Trish Garcia, Ms. Goolsby, Ms. Mars, Ms. Riley, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Carey, Ms. Oyama, Mr. Wanker, Mr. Pavoni, Mr. Kessler, Dr. Breggy, the entire board, and last but certainly not least, Mr. Mark Mead, who has inspired me every day and been a mentor to me, ever since I entered high school. And he was here earlier, but he's perpetually busy, so he has somewhere to be right now. But he inspired me to even consider this position in the first place, so I probably wouldn't be here without him. I sincerely apologize if I forgot anyone. Definitely don't mean to. Thank you. And of course, I want to thank my mom and dad for putting up with me for 17 years and almost a half. Yeah. And then my friends and everyone else who's, been with me up to this point. And KBEV, it's been great. Thank you. So really, thank you, everyone, and it's been a good time.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. And now, a report from the BHEF, please. Welcome.
Thank you. I don't come here often, so I try to load my reports up. First of all, Sammy, I think of you as Sammy. I'm really sorry. Congratulations, and I wish you great things. I cannot believe that you are graduating along with Barry, and I'm only 25. Okay. So to get to our official comments, I'll start off with our jam-packed summer activities list. We're again offering our high school summer program. This year it'll run from June 12th to July 20th. We're continuing the 4-day-a-week schedule, Monday through Thursday, because it really did fit better with parents' summer plans and students' summer plans who doesn't appreciate a Friday off. There's some slight schedule adjustments in July because the 4th of July is inconveniently on a Tuesday. So we have to jimmy the schedule a little bit there, but everyone will get 24 days of instruction, which is our usual. We have, as of today, 285 students, so we're better than we were for the whole summer school series last year. It's only the second week of May. They're enrolled in our regular classes such as geometry, biology, chemistry, U.S. and world history, electives like creative writing, and I'm pleased to say that we have at least 5 sections of health over the 2 summers for about 80+ students, and we're probably going to get a few more kids enrolling in health for that. We're encouraging those kids to pair, if they come for health first semester, for example, to pair it with second semester creative writing, or vice versa. If they do creative writing first, they should get their health out of the way. So they're there the whole summer. And again, Sam talked about Mr. Mead. Mr. Mead is again serving as our summer school principal. I have never met a more fired up individual, and we at the BHEF feel extremely lucky that he's agreed to be our administrator. We're also running our sports academy again from June 12th to July 14th. It runs on a slightly different schedule. Most of the sports are taught by our head coaches. We had lacrosse last year. For the first time, we're having, I believe, a good, strong showing in lacrosse again, as well as the more traditional sports, basketball, soccer, et cetera. And the basketball coaches, the girls coach, especially coming off its record-breaking season, they are offering again a separate one-week camp for their returning players and invited rising freshmen or other high school enrollees to come and work out with the team. It gives them a little more time to, learn their plays. I don't know. I wasn't on a sports team. I have no idea what you do. But it's good for them. Okay. For our, just a little recap, during our current school year, this one, we pledged, last year I came to you at the beginning of the year and said we were going to pledge about $450,000 to the 4K8s, $450,000, yes. 4K8s, the high school, and the district to provide the needed programs and services. I'm pleased to report that we actually spent over $543,000 in funding to our schools in the district and in a variety of programs as outlined in that handout. And for the upcoming year, 2017-2018, the BHUF has again agreed to fund a number of projects designed to benefit the students at all our 5 schools. First, for our co-curricular programs, at the K-8s, each K-8 will again receive $15,000 in co-curricular funds. However, at the high school this year, the BHUF board decided that the need was greater, and at the request of Mr. Jackson, we increased the co-curricular amount from $60,000 to $100,000 at the high school. So the total amount of co-curriculars for all 5 schools will be $160,000. Next, we're continuing our $75,000 grant towards the BEV Arts in support of the visual and performing arts programs at the 4K8s and the high school. We're going to continue our sponsorship of the second year of the district-wide science fair at $10,000. We have $35,000 in restricted endowment funds that are given annually to a number of things, including senior scholarships, the BV library, the high school English department, the high school graphic arts department, and the high school theater arts department and musical arts. We support the high school college counseling department by funding the travel and conference fees for its college counselor and half the salary of the staff assistant for the CTE college counseling program. We're going to do that again this year for the total amount of $41,000. We fund 13 walk-on coach positions in the athletic department for $25,000. Those are often the specialty coaches, like the hitting coach for baseball or the goaltending coach for soccer. This year, we were asked by the superintendent to consider funding a number of positions, and the board of BHUF voted to again fund the 2 technologies teachers on special assignment for a total of $216,000 again this year, which brings our total funding commitment for the 2017-2018 year to approximately $562,000 for next year. And again, I can only thank the parent donors, the community donors, and the people who have been donors to our endowment funds over the past 40 years of our existence. We can only succeed with the financial support of all the vested members of our community. If you individually, collective, think our schools need to remain excellent, then every single person must be a donor to both the BHUF and the PTA. It is never too late to donate. We start the year with a specified amount of money, and pretty much every year at the end of the year, we've come back and said, well, we actually were able to give you guys more. So thank you. Finally, and I'll want to introduce Cindy Trost, she is the incoming president of BHUF. I am very pleased to have worked with her this past year as a board member, and I'm very excited for her to take over the presidency on many levels. But because I know she's going to do a great job, and under her leadership, the BHUF will continue to thrive. And I wish you best of luck in the new position. So the next time you hear from BHUF, it will be Cindy making the report.
Thank you, Monique. Well, you have been an amazing leader for BHUF and a president As a president, you've created shoes that are going to be very hard to fill, but I hope that you will continue to be around for me to turn to in these early days as we make the transition, because I will definitely rely upon you for your continued advice and expertise. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to get to speak to you. I'm really looking forward to working with all of you. It is a privilege and an honor to have been elected by our board of directors to be the new BHCF president. These things really excite me, and I am hopeful that our fundraising efforts this year will continue to grow even stronger, since we do have an opportunity to appeal to the families at home who are going to watch this later. I would like to make sure that they know that your contributions are welcome and needed. There'll be summer mailers that are going out through the high school students. The K-8s will come home to you once school gets started. And of course, there'll be opportunities for you to just go online to bhef.org and always donate, because it is your donations, again, the teachers who are here and our school board members and our fine community residents who make sure that we can keep funding programs like this. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please don't leave yet.
Any questions about the report?
That's what we want to have,
I-
know if there are any comments.
I am happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Mr. Schwartz.
I was just wondering about the horseman debate team.
The Horseman debate team is part of the Horseman co-curriculars, so it's in the list of the 15,000 that's allocated to the school site.
Okay. What I was wondering about was just, I heard somewhere that this year they didn't have a debate team.
Well, if they don't have a debate team, that's not a reflection of us not having the money. It's the site principal not able to find someone to manage it. So now that we have a new Horseman principal, then you will put that on your list. Debate's been a big thing at Horseman for many years. So it's a matter of, the funding's there, Sam, it's just a matter of finding. So if it wasn't spent this year, if it wasn't on the list, it's because it wasn't spent this year. But it was allocated at the beginning of the year.
Right. Like it is on this list. I was just wondering, is this like money that was spent?
This
or
is money
allocated?
that was spent this year, from my understanding, yeah. So maybe it was, I have to go back and look at our accounting, so.
Thanks.
We were billed for it at some point in time, is my understanding. Okay.
Monique, I just want to thank you for your service and everything that you've done for this district for many years. I had the distinct pleasure of following you as a PTA president at Horace Mann, onto the PTA Council, onto the BHEF. Now look at us now.
Now
huh?
look at us
Yeah.
now. Mhm.
So I hope you won't be a stranger to the district. You still have a little one, not so little anymore
I
here at the
never a
district.
stranger to the district,
Good.
but just sort of taking a back seat for now.
All right.
So.
Well, thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
No, I just want to say thank you, welcome Cindy, and I am currently on a fact-finding mission to try to replace the seats in the Salter Theater. So expect me to be coming knocking on your door to see how we can raise funds through a naming opportunity for those
Perfect.
seats.
I believe the theater seats are under the endowment list already, so.
So I don't have to do anything?
You know, well, you have to get people to pay money. I mean,
Right.
BHEF.org, endowments. Yeah, we can.
No, exactly. I'm
if you-
vetting it out. Right now, I have an approximate somewhere between 300 and 400 a seat to replace it. So we'd have to figure out what we want to raise
Okay,
per seat.
well,
and ask
like
per
I
seat.
said, I believe a previous school board has put the Salter seats on its list of endowment opportunities. If not, we can definitely review what a seat would go for as an
Right.
endowment. And any gift that's made to the endowment, once, for example, if it's $300 to restore a seat, but the endowment gift is $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000, that excess goes into our endowment fund, out of which kicks out more money for us to give to you every year. So.
Right. But we can also look at having people be able to individually name seats.
Oh,
correct?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's part of it.
Good.
We have plaques for everybody.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hacker?
Yeah, so Monique, thank you so much for your service this year on leading BHEF. I appreciate it. I know it's a lot of work, and you've done a lot of work where you've worn many, many hats, and so I do appreciate everything that you've done.
Thank you very much.
And Mrs. Trost, welcome. And I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing you as well next year, and I'm sure you're going to do a phenomenal job, just like Monique did.
Oh, absolutely. Better. Mhm.
Cindy, welcome. It's not for the faint of heart to go out there and raise money. It's always hard to ask for money. But you know it's always, of course, for the best of causes. Thank you for stepping up, and Monique, you a well-deserved step back to kind of regroup and
Focus on some other things.
exactly. And thank you for all your good work. Thank you very much.
much.
I just want to say that the work and the accomplishments of the BHEF blow me away. This district wouldn't be the same by far if it weren't for what you do. And I want you to know it really is appreciated.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Superintendent?
Just want to thank you for two things. First of all, I want to thank you for not falling over when we gave you our latest proposal, which was for like 8 to 10 positions. So thank you for looking at it very closely and supporting us. And then secondly, I just want to thank you both, Monique and Cindy, just for such a warm welcome. You've really gone out of your way to spend time with me, to meet with me, and just educate me about the things that BHF has done. And thank you. I look forward to continuing that relationship.
I want to just reply to your comment about your initial request. You know, unfortunately, if I won the lottery, we would have no problems on many levels. But we, like you, have to balance our budget, and there's only a certain amount available money. And we could have chosen to fund all 8 positions, but then we would have had nothing else to give you. So we, you know, it's that Solomonic choice that sometimes you've got to bridge the gap somehow. And we really, you know, we really try to make our money go as far as it can. Again, if we had more money, i.e. more donations, we could make that gap a little less.
Monique, can I ask you a question? I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I think it was sort of the time Ronit was leaving and you were coming on, Ronit Stone. We've been trying to get an alumni database. Have we succeeded?
We have the, from the time Mr. Kessler became superintendent, and I'm assuming Dr. Breggy will continue this, we received the names and addresses of the parents that had opted for school communication, you know, from the previous year that Mr. Kessler started all the way up to last year, and they're part of our general mailing. We do not, unless they are previous donors to us, like, we don't have the names of the class of 1959. You know, we have had several discussions with the Alumni Association about even paying for a mailing to go out, you know, us paying for a mailing to go out. They very kindly include us in the alumni highlights that goes out every year, but it's still something that we're negotiating, and I think Cindy gets to take that over now. But, you know, I think it would be nice, they have a list, and maybe we don't need to have the list, but maybe we can make
Yeah,
a
if they were
negotiation.
willing to approve something to go
Right.
out, and then we
Right.
pay for the
So-
postage and the printing.
Right, so we're working on that.
Is there, do you think there's a better than 50% chance that it'll work, or?
Oh, I don't gamble, Lisa, so I
No
don't know.
speculation.
No speculations. You know, everything in its time. And sometimes it takes a different person to ask. So Cindy's nicer than me. So, Cindy's the smooth glide, I'm the bludgeon. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. So then, Dr. Breggy, you're tasked to make sure that Mr.
Right.
Jackson hands over.
Right, we will
the info.
actually, be contacting your office after graduation when we gear up to do our mailing in the fall, you know,
Okay.
our community mailing, and it's an easy data dump sort of thing. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Colleagues, we're at Business and Finance.
Great, I'd love to make a motion to approve the contract with RBC Capital Markets for underwriting services related to the 2017-18 pool tax and revenue anticipation notes.
Moved
I
by
will
Mr.
second that.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mrs. Hacker.
What did I just say?
Just to approve the RBC.
No, I don't, I'm just not, Ms. Kirk-Carter, what, this is related to the TRAN notes,
Where are you?
We're 12A.
Yeah, this is just, this is related to our annual tran that we do for cash flow purposes.
Right, I don't remember doing this in the past, even though we've done trans. Have we done this?
We do it
Yes.
every
year.
Okay. Maybe it's been that kind of year. Thank
Any
you.
other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
I'll make a
Item
motion.
12B.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2016-2017-041 for assignment of delinquent tax receivables to the California Statewide Delinquent Tax Finance Authority, JPA.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Hacker, second by Mr. Margot. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
I'll move to approve the resolution of number 2016-2017-043, authorizing the formation of a surplus property advisory committee, 711 committee pursuant to Education Code 17387.
I will
SEC.
I will second that.
Motion by Mr. Goldstein, second by Mr. Margot. Discussion.
I'm very pleased that we're putting this in motion.
Any discussion? I have some comments, questions. There are three pieces of property that are identified in this motion as potentially surplus. One of them is the district office at 255 South Lasky Drive. The second one is the Beverly Vista parking lot property. And the third one is the oil well property. Regarding the district administration property, I find I'm really confused. According to information that I had and what is indicated in this rationale, we're looking at something under 1 acre of property, but the presentation that we had recently by Mr. Chialtis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, spoke about 3.5 acres. But it's really less than 1 acre. In addition to being less than 1 acre, the land is like an acute triangle. It really comes to a point which limits the amount of construction that can be done on it. According to the presentation by Mr. Chialtis, according to his presentation, there would be 340,000 square feet of gross buildable in 4 stories. It appears that there wouldn't be more than about 90,000 rather than 340,000. It seems to me that a quick and dirty examination, which would cost nothing, by getting a local Beverly Hills architect and a local developer to spend a couple of hours and at no cost to indicate whether this is really plausible. I went through the process several years ago with architects and developers, and I found that the parcel was too small to be developed profitably as a mixed-use project. So that's one concern that I have. As far as the Beverly Vista parking, I was there recently, and that parking lot was filled with teachers' parking places. And I'm just wondering who came up with the idea that that parcel could be surplus. I don't know where those people would park their cars. Before we purchased that property, our teachers were parking on the streets and getting tickets all the time, every single day. As far as the oil well property, that's a property that our master plan for the high school designated that property to increase the athletic fields, which are woefully small. That is the master plan. I just can't, I just feel that this process, if we follow it, is going to involve a very significant amount of wasted time, wasted energy, and wasted money. And I'd like somebody to tell me why I should vote for it.
Well, Mr. Spitz, looking at an overlay of the map, I can't tell you the precise square footage of that property, but just looking at the map that we have on our district website, along Young itself, there purports to be 8 multifamily residences right across the street. Each and every one of them could fit, not all of them combined, but any one of those can fit within our property. Across the street on Lasky, it purports that there's 5 multi-unit residents. Each and every one of those, any one of those can fit within that triangle. So I would have to suspect that there has to be some market value to this property that our 7-Eleven committee could vet out and make that what you're asking, whether we do it beforehand or as part of the 7-Eleven committee. I don't have an objection to that, to get some understanding of what the value is, but first and foremost, it has to be declared surplus property. That's what we're voting on, to look at any of these pieces of property, whether it's the district office, if there's a better use, and a better use may be some type of office space with parking subterranean for the teachers at Beverly Vista, or the oil well site that sits on the Beverly Hills High School property. That can be determined by the 7-Eleven committee, whether they ask for additional resources or we want to do it through the superintendent, to direct the superintendent to have somebody vet in principle what revenue generating capabilities this property will have. I don't have an objection to that, but I think that when you're looking at 13 other multi-use residents, both on Young and Lasky, somebody thought it was a good idea to put apartment buildings there. I got to imagine that there is some value to that land to a developer that would help generate revenue for this district, in lieu of the fact that we no longer are part of a lease for the extraction of oil, so there's no royalties coming in that way. And there's very few ways to increase revenues. I mean, the BHUSD, of course, is one option. Property taxes don't go up historically, although they go up, it doesn't equate to a whole lot when you look at it countywide to us. And unless we start talking something like a parcel tax in this community, which may or may not have any traction, I can't think of a better way to utilize the resources that this district has that really is underutilized, quite frankly. I mean, when you go into that district office, and you were there in the 70s, you're back here in 2017, you walk through that, there's a lot of wasted space in that. Irrespective of what that property is ultimately used for, whether it's residential or we rebuild district offices, it's truly underutilized. There's not many classes in the building. The way it's laid out, it's just a handful of offices. They're not contiguous.
Right.
It really is, at least in my opinion, and I think I've heard this from at least Superintendent Dick Douglas, Superintendent Gary Woods, Superintendent Steve Kessler, and Superintendent Breggy have all talked about the difficulties of actually having district offices at that location, the way it's configured. And I'm sure Dr. Tedford has lived there quite a while too. It doesn't seem like it's a conducive space to operate a district office from.
I'd like to answer that. I agree with you, certainly, that the administrative offices, the way they're configured, are wasteful of space and need to be changed. But I just want to tell you that working with less than 1 acre, that actually comes to a point. You're right about those residences across the street on Young. However, I had an outstanding architect, look at that, who specializes in this kind of thing, in construction, design of multiple-story residential units. And when you consider the setbacks that you have to have, when you consider the central atrium that you would have to have, when you consider the portion of the property that comes to a point where you couldn't build, but of course you could put a swimming pool in there, and certainly you should have that if you're gonna get high rental rates and so forth. He came up with the number of 11 units, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom mixed, from 1,100 to 1,200 feet, 11 per floor that he could get on there. If you had 3 floors, that would be 33 units. You're talking about a very significant amount to clean up the property and get rid of the buildings that are there. You're talking about multiple level subterranean parking, and I'm just telling you that it's lovely to think about the district getting funds from this, but it doesn't pencil out.
Right. And Mr. Spitz, that's just one option. That may be just one option. You know, the motion in front of it, you asked, why should you vote for it? Because, yes, there are 5 of us, and you've sat on boards that discuss this, boards after you've discussed what to do with that property. It seems boards historically for the last couple decades are all in agreement. The function of this piece of property for the district really is underutilized. It doesn't serve the purpose, the intended purpose for us, and it really could be declared, it may be declared surplus if a committee so deems it. And I think that's what we're doing here, to see what other uses that either 7 or 11 individuals in this community from real estate and construction backgrounds and property management backgrounds architects can come up with as to maybe a better use for this property for the district.
And do you, so a better use for the district?
Well, it could be for the district, it could be for...
in other words, not surplus, but a different use for the district.
They may ultimately determine that. Right. But we won't know because the process requires us to undertake a 7-Eleven committee to make those type of recommendations to us.
Looking at the Beverly Vista parking lot, do you think that we should consider that as possibly surplus? I mean, what is the rationale?
If I might, Mr. Spitz, the 7-Eleven process is the first step in looking at anything. And so, as you recall, when Mr. Chiltis did his presentation, if you're impaneling a 7-Eleven committee, it's easier to go on and look at any potential add into that process, any property that you may look at in the long future or the near future. A good example, when I started at North Orange County ROP in 1999, they had done their 7-Eleven committee in the late 80s, early 90s. I came in 1999. Before then, every option that had been submitted about the property didn't pencil out. So they chose to stay on the property. But once it's declared surplus and you can look at it at that point, it may be 10 years from now that somebody comes with the right option, the right package that pencils it out. And so it wasn't until, even though they had done their 7-Eleven committee, the formal process, in the first piece of the formal process in order to sell the property, which can take, as you know, 6 to 9 months to get through this whole process. When in 2002 is when we finally had the right solution. The market was hot. The city was willing to deal with us, but they started, like I said, back in 1989. 2002, it was a right solution. We sold the 8.5 acres, 9 acres. We bought 2 other. We just didn't look at it that way. So you never know if right now we don't have the solution, and it pencils out whoever gives us their proposals, and we say we don't want to do this right now, that's fine. But once you've done this piece, you've now given yourself the flexibility to look at it for now and evermore. So someone could come to the board in 5 years from now and say, you know, I have a really good idea for you. At that point, you don't have to go through this process and declare the property surplus again. It's already done. This legal piece is done, and you can then look at whatever happens in the property. So it could be this year, you know, next year, it could be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But what you've done is giving yourself the flexibility to entertain what you don't even know. And I say that in all sincerity, because when I came to the ROP, they had been looking at one set of circumstances, and we flipped it, and we ended up again, at that time, we sold the property for the most amount of money per acre ever garnered in Orange County in 2002, which of course was the height of the beginning of the great market rise. And so, but they had not thought about that in 1989 when they did the 7-Eleven committee.
I see. Any further discussion?
I have a question. Are you done, Howard? I just had a question. Okay, so the resolution before us is to formulate a surplus property advisory committee. And so my question is, if I recall correctly, the study session that we had about 3 weeks ago, it was for the purposes, the discussion was about the property where the district offices are at. I don't remember or recall any discussion about Beverly Vista nor the oil wells. I remember reading about the oil wells in the paper. I think it was a comment made by you, but I don't remember it being an actual discussion item that the board had with the attorney who gave us the study session. So my question is this following. If we are now discussing the formation of a 7-Eleven committee, and we give direction as we, similar to the conversation we had a few weeks ago in that study session about the district office. After we go through that process, couldn't we then just add if we wanted to pursue additional surplus property? Because it doesn't seem to me that the resolution before us is to formulate a list of surplus properties. It's the advisory committee. So someone explain that to me. It's about if I understand what I read today, the adoption of the resolution would be to authorize the formation of a surplus property advisory committee, not a list. And you're talking about a list.
The 7-Eleven advisory committee is impaneled to look at certain properties, and they have to be named in your initial resolution. So they're an advisory committee to the board. The properties that they are looking at, because all of these properties are K-12 properties, and they all have to go, anything that we do with any property, down to a textbook, has to be declared surplus before we get rid of it.
I would be inclined, because this is our first time doing it, just as an idea.
My recollection is we did discuss it at that meeting. It was brought up. It was near the tail end, and we started talking about, well, if we're going to do this, I believe even Mr. Carter brought up the idea that if this would be the time, if you're going to look at your district office, there have been other pieces of property throughout, and now that you have the oil well, we did have
the oil well. I think I remember reading.
We did have the discussion about the oil well, the thing, just to have it included within the list so they can look at it.
Because on the presentation, I do remember the 3,000 square footage assessment of the district building office, but I don't remember any.
It wasn't within the presentation. It was
right, but it was within the discussion.
And then I remember reading about the oil well, but I don't remember the oil well being an item of discussion at all.
We did have the discussion.
We did.
So are we then? I just have a suggestion, and I'm willing to vote for this. I just want to ask if there is any consideration that could be given by other members of the board to just approve this, and let's just do the district office, being that was the main caveat for our discussion, and then learn from that process, and then move forward with another property. I'm not sure, I'd like to understand what you all have in mind for Beverly Vista, because as Mr. Spitz said, the building, that area is being used for parking right now. And so
And
I don't remember, I remember us going to very deep discussion about the district office.
I think you're right, Isabel, except if we're going to go through the process of spending 6 to 9 months with an advisory committee, at least for myself, I want to put all the potential discussions into the one advisory committee, and they will most likely come back and say, this is a good idea, this isn't a good idea, and that's their purview, is to advise us on these properties. I'm not sold on developing or not developing anything at this point. I need to get, like Mr. Spitz said, if there's architects or developers assigned to the committee, which according to G in the transmittal, it encourages that, then we can have those people, professionals, be able to opine to us on what they think, and parking is a major issue. So if it comes up that there's really no way to develop Beverly Vista because of the parking and because of the problem we'll have, then that puts that discussion to rest. But at least I'd like to have the discussion because I want to be armed with as much information as possible moving forward. I don't want to move forward, make decisions, and then regret that we didn't look at something when we should have.
And the 7-Eleven committee is not the vehicle where you decide what you're going to do. That's a separate vehicle. You have these people on your committee, but it looks at, for example, you have school sites, or I'll use the BV parking lot as a primary example. We have a parking need. So out of the 7-Eleven advisory committee, the report would say something like, this property, we would recommend that it be surplus if you account for the parking needs of these students, or these teachers, because that is a need. But in terms of developing the use of any of the oil well or this site or the other one, this vehicle allows you to then explore all those uses. If you don't do this process, then you don't get to explore anything that you could do with any of the properties at that point, because you can explore, but you can't do it. Once you do this, you can always explore. You can explore while we're in the middle of the 7-Eleven process, at the conclusion of the 7-Eleven process. Like I said, 2 years from now, if people bring you ideas for the district office and it doesn't pencil out, you have this on the shelf. So, like, for example, Mr. Spitz, when you said that the real estate agent had done that for you before and it didn't pencil out, we wouldn't be, if you had done a 7-Eleven committee at that time, we would just keep going back and bringing in realtors to say, would you give us your highest, best use for this property? What are you thinking? Or we would do an RFP for realtors and developers and say, we want to know what you can do for us for this property. We want to see what the market can bear. And that gives you the opportunity to do that. And if you got those RFPs in and you still didn't like what you see, you just put you're back on the shelf waiting for something to occur. This just gives you the flexibility to look.
Basically, we have to do this in order to continue the conversation, no matter which way the conversation goes.
I don't see that at all.
Well,
And I'll tell you why. You can still look, you can still call in realtors or anybody you want without this to give us their opinion
But
of
you
what
still
the
have to do
value is,
this.
but what you're saying is you couldn't move forward.
Right.
And I understand that, but there's, it's not a huge cost, but there's a cost involved here. The committee is going to have from day one a professional who charges fees. And so according to what we were told, it would be about a $35,000 per year fee. So look, I think we're having a robust conversation, and we can continue it. We can continue the conversation, and that's fine, and then we'll take a vote.
We're just warming up, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. First of all, the experts on feasibility and all these things for the lot are not really typically brokers, okay? But having said that, I don't know the lot size. It has been told to me over the years it's 3 acres or 3.5. If you say it's 1, you might be right. 1 acre is around 40,000 square feet.
Right.
I don't know if it's 43 or 129. I don't know. And someone's going to tell us.
Excuse me, but I gave Dr. Bragi a North American Trust Company a report on the property. It's under an acre.
Does it have a square footage there?
I'll have to go back and look at that.
Okay. Well,
I'll go back and look.
we'll pull up another property profile, a new one. We'll pull it up tomorrow. I'll do that at my office. I'm curious. Just to give you an idea of scale. 10,000 Santa Monica sits on 2.5 acres. Most of it is not the building. Now, they have a skyscraper, and we obviously wouldn't have a skyscraper. But I have no idea if it's, you can go up 4 stories. The city may let you go up 5. Then you have 2 or 3 floors of subterranean. The subterranean footprint would be wider than the building's footprint. But the point is that I have no idea the value. I want to find out the value. I happen to know one thing for sure. We're not making any money right now on that building. It's an energy hog. It's an embarrassment. It's gross. It's not befitting a school district. I've heard it more than once. Dr. Breggy said this is the worst district headquarters I've ever seen or worked in. I toured a very important person from Washington, D.C., who said there are schools in urban D.C., in impoverished neighborhoods, that look like 90210, and this does not. So it is time to get rid of that building under any circumstances. It costs us a fortune to run, to maintain, to fire up with air conditioning and heat and lights and whatnot. So in any event, it's outlived its usefulness. It's 60 years old, 70 years old. It's enough. It served its purpose. It owes us nothing. It's time to move on. The second thing is, it's revenue sitting there. It is 1 acre. It is 2. It is 3. Let's say it's 1, Mel.
A little bit less.
Okay. You can still put a significant apartment building on it with an excellent amount of parking down below, and you can have a structured agreement with the developer, whether it's a ground lease, whether it's joint venture, whatever the heck it is, and you can have revenue for the next 50 or 60 years. That far exceeds whatever is sitting there right now. So I would like a 7-Eleven committee to look at that. As for the Beverly Vista parking lot, it is a corner. Someone may want to utilize that for a condo building, a parking, apartment building, and once again, we can piggyback and say we need 56 spots, we need 70 spots. That's part of the deal. It's built into their numbers. People are clamoring to build in Beverly Hills despite all of the roadblocks that go up. People are clamoring to park their money here and to develop, and there is a shortage of housing. Here it's not affordable, but there is a shortage of clean, newer housing in Beverly Hills. So let me just say to you that I have every confidence that a competent 7-Eleven committee made up of professionals and people who have some vision can figure this out. As for the oil well property, I have no idea what we can do with that because of where it's located. And I know we have a whole conundrum coming up with Venecone cleanup. But if you have assembled a smart room of people, they will figure it out. And they will be able to advise us, this is yes, this is no, this is maybe. I am happy to defer to them. I consider this to be, more than the board needs to do at a very granular level. I'd like them to dive in. Additionally, whether we like it or not, it is not a benefit to us to have a building in that condition go on much longer. So that really should end the discussion about what we do with that building. It's an atrocity. It's disgusting. It is a beautiful mid-century building that was once beautiful, which is now awful, and it's a poor use of the property. The property is just too valuable and too spread out to be used like this. And the Elm Drive property lies fallow. It is not normal to let 50 cars park there. That property is worth a fortune, and it can be utilized in a much more intelligent way, and it's a blight. It's an empty parking lot with cars going in and out all day. The cars can go in a subterranean parking lot. And there's no reason why a developer with some vision can figure this out with a great architect, and we can cut a great deal. So I'm all for the 7-Eleven committee. I don't understand where the trepidation comes in. The minimal outlay of money is minimal, and the time is not ours, it's a committee who will volunteer their time. So I'm not sure where the problem is, and I can't opine on what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. So I just need some people with bigger and better minds to sit down and analyze it and come back to us. And I don't see where the risk is. The risk benefit seems enormously on one side to be beneficial. I don't see the risk. So I'm voting for this in its entirety.
Before I call for the question at this point, if Pam, if you had an advisory vote, I think that says it all. So I'd
Pardon
like.
me?
I-
What
I'd
is
like to-
that?
I said if Pam had an advisory vote, she spends the most time in that office.
Oh.
Out of all of us.
Oh, well,
But-
don't call for the question yet, because, please, because I just want to say I agree with every single thing that Mrs. Korbutov said, except for the necessity of going this route, because you can absolutely find out what you can do with these properties without going to this, and I don't think this is going to be an efficient way of moving forward. However, that's just my opinion. So I'm willing to call for the vote now,
Thank you.
since
Thank
I've
you.
had the last word.
Fair enough.
And you'll get the last vote.
That's true. So,
Voice vote.
I don't think we need to. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
There we go.
Moving right along.
Moving briskly.
I will
right
make a
along.
motion to approve the ratification of the agreement issued under 2015-2016-041 for B2 window plastic covers for the high school.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That brings us to.
I'll make a motion to
13B.
approve the acceptance of the Beverly Hills High School B2 window plywood and paint project, authorization to file an NOC and release retention.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein. Any discussion? All in favor?
I will
Opposed?
make a motion to approve the acceptance of Beverly Hills High School Building 1, B1 and B2 demolition and abatement project and authorize to file the NOC and release retention.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll make
Carried.
a motion to approve the amendment number 18 to the agreement with DLR for additional services at the high school.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein. Any discussion?
Yes, I had a question. How was the fee negotiated for this additional work?
We asked DLR for a proposal. They gave us an hourly cost and who would be working on the project. So it's not really a negotiation.
Okay.
It's just,
I'm curious because it seems like a minimal amount of work and a minimal fee. I'm wondering how this wasn't put in the original contract.
well, I think this is just something that Dr. Breggy and I have been working on for the past few weeks. And what it is it's for the benefit of all of us. So instead of talking about piecemeal, this is what's going to happen at the high school, and then this happens next, and this happens next, what DLR is going to put together is I actually asked for kind of old technology, because I was thinking of the transparencies that we used to have that would go over. They tell me now, no, it'll be animation, so they will be able to look at it. So, and it should be done by Friday.
And I just want to add that this is something we've talked about as far as improving the communication. And I think that when we're working with projects like this, it's visual. And so this will provide a better opportunity to see in phases how we are progressing.
Okay, will this be something we can also share with the community?
Oh, yes.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Item 13E.
I'm going to combine a couple here. I'll make a motion to approve the ratification of the agreement under Resolution 2015-2016 for the 6 steel coupon extraction samples and with V3 steel, and the ratification of the agreement issued under 2015-2016-41 for Building B Amir wall painting and miscellaneous work at Horse Man.
All right, those are items E and F. We have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein. Any discussion?
Quick-
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Quick question with regard to the El Rodeo
Mhm.
construction, with regard to SSMP.
Yeah.
How does, will this and how does this delay us for our application for state seismic matching funds?
The delay on El Rodeo coming out of DSA is jeopardizing the ability to access those funds. This is not a delay, this is, if you're asking the sampling,
Yeah,
no, that won't
this won't
delay
cause
us.
it.
No, we have what we call a concurrent delay because we have DSA that's holding us up right now.
Right, but I was specific to SSMP.
Yes.
They're actually, the program is calling for this, they're requesting this?
Yes.
Okay. And so this would actually expedite that process?
It expedites the SSMP application process, but
Not DSA.
Until we
not
revamp.
the DSA process.
Right. So I had a question about SSMP. It's kind of related to El Rodeo. I had asked maybe a month ago for an update on SSMP and where we were. It was my understanding that we had been granted some monies through SSMP, and I'm not sure if that did it officially come back
Yeah.
to us for
Well, it's
an
not in the
approval?
bank, but it's been approved.
I
It's
put
been
it in the-
approved as a resolution?
No, it was in your board connection. We were-
Okay, that's where I saw it. I remember seeing it, but I don't remember seeing it. But I thought it was important to share with the community where we're at.
We were,
Because I know that you shared with me privately when I was leaving the office one day, Latanya, you mentioned that we had good news, and I thought that that is good news. And so I would hope that we at some point could share it with the community just to bring everyone up to speed where we're at. It's good news.
It is very good news, and we'll put an item on the agenda a formal information item then on the agenda. But in the connection, we were approved for $6.5 million for the Horseman A. And based upon the construction reports, it looks like we spent less than $1 million chasing just that particular building. So that's all profit for that. The other good thing, and thanks to our consultant, we have a really good consultant that you've selected that works with us. We're at the front of the line for the unfunded projects. Once they approve you, your project normally goes to the unfunded list, and there are projects that have been on the unfunded list for years. Our project, because it's a seismic and it's considered a facilities hardship, gets funded at the next sale of bonds, which is this month. So by the end of June, we'll probably have that $6.5 million in the bank. Well, there's a lot of paperwork that goes with getting it. Now it's the paperwork.
Sure.
But it'll be, it's great. It's a very good thing at this time, not only for the district, but with looking at other school districts where nobody is getting any money right now out of OPSC and the State
Okay,
Allocation
great.
Board.
Thank you. That was all my.
Any further comment? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Margot?
Make a motion for the acceptance of the Building B, Amir wall painting miscellaneous work at Horse Man, authorize the NOC and release retention.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein. Any comment?
No.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Make a
And-
motion to ratify the agreement issued under Resolution 2015-2016 for manufacture installation of 10 cabinets for the art room at Horseman School with Bristol Omega.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do. Did you have anything? Is this a district change, these cabinets? Is there?
There are cabinets in the art room,
Right.
but they do not hold student art.
Oh, really?
So they're just regular cabinets.
How did you do
Student
that?
art, you have the kind that you can pull out.
Right, I think they're deeper
So
with the
whatever the
drawers.
process was,
Didn't
when we designed that room, either nobody talked to the art teacher or it was just missed because the cabinets do not allow for the main purpose of cabinets in an art room, and that
So-
is what.
And what are we going to do with those cabinets?
That was my
Put
first
him,
question.
put him in Dr. Bragy's office.
Yeah. We're not losing all of the cabinets.
Mr. Margot, please.
We're actually just taking out a portion of the cabinets that are already installed and then changing it out. So most of the cabinets remain, and I was told that they're not going to be able to be salvaged when we take them out.
So, to finish up, did this process start at the beginning of the year when the art teacher got in there and said, I can't work with cabinets like this, and then it's just taken this much time to get to this point? Or is this a recent discovery?
It was a recent discovery for me. I went and
Well,
to
for me as well, we have that in
right,
common.
for the just to tour the construction and started talking to people, and we went into the art room, and I saw a whole stack. In fact, I have a photo of it on my phone of pizza boxes.
Uh-huh.
Because that's how they were storing their art. They brought in, each student had to bring in a clean pizza box, and then they used that and so at that point, we just said, we need to get cabinets.
It seems odd to me, well, maybe not, but the fact that I know that the last school that got a new art room was Beverly Vista before this one. Why weren't was it a design, did the architects design the cabinets, or was that designed separately, was that subbed out for the actual cabinet design?
I
'Cause
don't know. Do you know that? It's original. Yeah.
It was.
Yes, and they failed to identify the use of that room as it related to the need for the platform.
So was it not
that's-
intended to be an art room at the beginning, is that?
To be an art room, but they did not take into consideration the storage.
Okay.
Flat files.
And there are other issues with the room.
Okay.
And when was that, just so I can get a
Oh, it's
timeline of that?
been
because
years.
Years ago?
Years.
Okay, because I can't even get my head around not having an art teacher at the table.
Right.
That project was bid in June, thereabouts,
14, right.
So it
The
would,
design was completed before then.
so it would have been 2010, maybe, 2012, maybe?
Okay.
Because the other issue that we're dealing with is that there was no allowance made for a kiln. So my understanding again is they're the only art room in the district that doesn't have the kiln.
Right? Don't they have to put it outside?
Now,
because there's no
now one
room?
of the fixes that we've been talking about is to put it outside because they don't have the structure or the fire wall and all that they would need inside. So somebody dropped the ball on the art room.
Yeah, it's killing me. All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. That was item 13H. We're at 13J.
Yeah, I'm going to make a slightly amended motion for 13J.
Mhm.
So I'm going to move to authorize the superintendent to identify and commence on negotiations of an agreement for program management services for the remainder of Measure E Phase 1 and for construction management services for the modernization of Horseman Building A and site work at Horseman School.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Margot, second by Mr. Goldstein, and that is a rewording of the motion that's in the, that's, yeah. So if,
He's gonna read it again. I just wanna hear it one more time.
The motion is to authorize the superintendent to identify and commence on negotiations of an agreement for program management services for the remainder of Measure E Phase 1 and for construction management services for the modernization of Horseman Building A and site work at Horseman School.
okay,
That sounds right.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. That's J. And that brings us
Communication from
to
board.
communication from board members. Mr. Schwartz, have you a final word of wisdom?
Sure. Well, actually, I did realize two people I forgot to thank. So, Pam, Eddie, thank you. Pam, you've been so helpful over this past year, adjusting to this position, and then Eddie, you have very interesting insight. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Um, but, off in college, I'm going to be tuning in to these board meetings online. So, I might submit a few statements. So watch out for those. When I come visit, I'll come to a few board meetings for sure.
Please do.
So, in the words of the famous general, and maybe a little bit infamous General Douglas MacArthur, I shall return.
Sam, I can guarantee you're going to find better things to do at the University of Chicago other than streaming our board meetings. But I do want to say, I mean, it's bittersweet that it is bittersweet that this is your last meeting, obviously. I won either way because I know you beat my son out by 3 votes for this seat. And yet, so that has to be the closest election in this town ever. But you've always been like a son to me. I've enjoyed watching you grow up, from coaching you with your dad, playing baseball over the years, to going to Dodger games, now having the rare opportunity to watch you at Horace Mann growing up, and then how you've just flourished here at the high school. You exemplify everything that's right with this institution and what they can do for students when they work very, very hard and put in the time and effort. They can go to great places. And I'm not going to read the book, the places I've been and all that stuff that's been done at a graduation once. But I do wish you, on behalf of myself and my family, the best to you and your family. Enjoy these next couple of years.
Thank you.
So there's a knock on your dorm room door, Sam, and somebody says, Sam, listen, I got extra Cubby tickets tonight. You interested? No, I'm going to watch the board meeting. Thank you. You go ahead. Did we teach you nothing here? Take the tickets. Dr. Breggy, congratulations on starting your staffing up. It's been a couple of months getting the motion going, and as my colleague, Mrs. Hacker, always says, we only hire one person, that's you, and you hire everybody else. So I for one, first of all, they left. I wanted to meet them. I mean, they stood up, but they're gone.
They'll come back, for sure.
They have to work here. So
but I mean, they'll come back like to the meeting.
And it was, I was saying before, it's a bizarre, it's a first time where we have, at least I have, been so completely removed from this process that it's been sort of a relief, but a little bit of anxiety ridden, because it still always seems to fall back on us when we bring in principals and administrators and all that.
Just
So
point them back to me.
I'm pointing everybody to you.
Okay.
And also, the Friday and Saturday, if you are around and want to check out a wonderful experiment, come see Oh My Goddess in the Little Salter Theater, their little theater. It's a workshop presentation which the high school students have never done. And for those who don't know what a workshop is, it's taking a theatrical piece from its infancy to the stage. So this has never been done before anywhere. It's world premiere coming out here. We have wonderful students in this school.
Thank you. Mrs. Hacker, do you have something?
So, Mr. Schwartz, congratulations on your graduation that's coming up pretty soon, in a few more weeks. Congratulations to your new future in the university, and I know you're going to be exceptional, and thank you for sharing your time with us and being helpful and insightful, and just really a true pleasure. And to your parents, I know your mother left, but Mr. Schwartz is in the audience. Oh, her mother is there. Congratulations. I think the apple never falls very far from the tree, and so I think that you've done a very nice job raising a son, and it's been a pleasure, and congratulations to you, because I know it's hard to be a good parent, and you have been. I can see that. And to Mr. Breggy, Dr. Breggy, we're very excited. I'm very excited about your new team. As Mr. Margo said, I wish they would have stuck around, but maybe you told them to leave.
I did. I asked Luke to ask them.
Of course. But anyways, welcome to them, and congratulations to you again for, I'm sure they're excellent choices. I'm looking forward to seeing them in action.
Thank you.
Couple things. I wanted to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day, because we won't be here till afterwards. So, Mrs. Schwartz, happy Mother's Day. You have a wonderful reason to be a proud mom. Happy Mother's Day to everyone up here. on the dais.
I appreciate that.
Mrs. Hacker and Latanya and Jen, I know you're a new mom as of a few years ago. Happy Mother's Day to you. And Pam, happy Mother's Day.
And you.
And me, yes, thank you. And I won't be at the graduation this year. My second daughter is graduating Johns Hopkins, getting her master's in the School of Advanced International Studies. So shout out for Johns Hopkins and DC campus. So she'll be an international economist, and she'll do something with energy. And my husband's only question was, do they pay you for these things? So anyway, we don't know. We'll find out soon enough. Additionally, I just wanted to say that it plays into Bianca Foundation. I DVR 60 Minutes, and there was, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, I lose track, about Newtown parents. The mother who came to speak to us, and I apologize, I forgot her name, Bianca's mom. She had 3 children. She only has 1 now. So she's lost 2 to a tragedy. Her daughter was murdered, we don't know if it's an accident or murder. She was either thrown off a balcony or went off a balcony. And her son, I believe, died in a car accident. So watching the Newtown segment on 60 Minutes about how these parents go on with life, if you can say that, there is no word in the English language for parents who lose children. It's so unspeakable and it's so unthinkable that there are no words. This lovely woman has been here, I can't count how many times. This time before this time, she was just reduced to tears. Tim is nodding. You've seen it. We've watched it. We've seen it. It's jarring and heart-wrenching. And I'd like to say that while I watch the 60 Minutes, what these parents are doing, which it's not quite what she's doing, but it's something like it. It's basically a program called Know the Signs. And so it's people to look at, to listen to what's going on around them, to see people who are exhibiting signs of stress, mental health, or alienation, or isolation, and to get to the problem before they get to a gun or cyberbullying or a knife. What I want to say is I don't know the applicability of her program to curriculum, to school, to a school setting in terms of a class or an elective. But I think I would ask you, and I don't know if the board would support this, but to at least call her in and spend 30 minutes with her, 45, and see if we could in some way, maybe it isn't the Bianca Foundation, maybe it's Know the Signs, maybe it's assemblies, maybe it is an elective. Dr. Tedford, if you have information, I just feel that if she keeps coming here and it's still a club and she wants more, I'm not saying we can do more. I would just like someone to dive in so that we could at least show her, and I'm not saying we haven't, but show her the structure, the respect, the time, and some more meaningful dialogue with the school leader so that we know that we've done whatever we could. So
I believe she's on my calendar.
she is. So will you report back to us, because she's welcome to come here every 2 Tuesdays. It's just heartbreaking. And I'm always left sort of guessing or wondering, what are we doing and why aren't we addressing this, and have we addressed it? Like, I'm in the dark. But, if the Newtown parents found a way to give meaning, then we could help her find a way not only to give meaning, but to actually help our students. Thank you.
Sam, I want to congratulate you. I don't think I ever met you before your first meeting here, but I think I may have mentioned to you that I've known your family quite well, especially your dad and your grandpa. Your grandpa had the good judgment to endorse me each of the times I ran for this board, 2 times, but he even had better judgment. He endorsed me 1 time when I wasn't running. So anyway, congratulations and Godspeed to you. I just want to mention that last week, our board sent out an email to the community, to all of our staff members and to our parents, to the newspapers, to try to clarify and indicate what our financial condition, what the financial condition of the district is. And it's a complex subject, and it needs a lot more communication. And there will be, in the coming months, there will be a set of town hall meetings and every opportunity that we can come up with to clarify and have people in the community understand what our challenges are, and to understand too that we have every intention of straightening out our budget and making improvements that will really lead to many improvements in our educational program. So we'll definitely be moving in that direction. Superintendent, any comment? In that case, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Thanks for helping.
He's such a sweet kid.
Good. All right.
Yeah, they've been keeping me busy.
So now what are you doing for us?
But the good news is everything is pending now. I checked that my account for the CTC, so I have all my new information. So hopefully soon I'll get an answer. Yeah, well, hopefully before. I'm hoping in the next week or two.